afternoon, everyone. Thank you once again for taking the time to join us for another Testhouse live webinar. Sorry for the wait. We just had to wait for a couple more participants to join us for this webinar. So apologies for that. Basically, the webinar today, or the webinar focus for today, is on mobile testing with HP and DeviceAnywhere. Our presenters for today would be Andrew Doughty, which is Testhouse's Head of Business Development. Andy will briefly talk to you about some of our experiences and some engagements with mobile testing as an application. One of our partners, DeviceAnywhere, will be joining us. Two of our colleagues from DeviceAnywhere will be joining us. Javier Carrillo, which is enterprise sales for DeviceAnywhere, will briefly explain the DeviceAnywhere's approach to mobile testing. And Milton Savory, which is DeviceAnywhere's technical consultant, will do a short demo for you guys on mobile testing. Let me quickly go through the agenda for you guys. So the first two bullet points will be covered by my colleague Andy Doughty. And the third bullet point will be covered by Javier, which is DeviceAnywhere platform on mobile testing. Javier will touch on some of the need for testing mobile phone applications. And the next one would be a demo from my colleague Milton Savory, short demo, hopefully. And quickly, the last bullet point would be Q&A session. Just to briefly talk to you about the Q&A session, we normally take questions at the end of the presentation, so if you can please hold your questions, that would be much appreciated. So without further delay, I'll pass you now over to my colleague Andy, who will kickstart the webinar. Andy?
Yeah, thank you, Melanie, and good afternoon, everybody. I've just got a couple of slides that I'd like to run through just to, I guess, frame the webinar and give some context to why we're hosting this webinar, and also talk a little bit about the partnership that Testhouse has with both HP and DeviceAnywhere. For those of you who don't know Testhouse, know that there'll be quite a few attendees that do. I'll just give a short overview. We're a software testing QA specialist, so we're a consultancy that focuses solely on software testing. As a business, we began in 2000, and since inception, we've seen growth pretty much year on year. It's been quite impressive. We now have a full sort of service centre and test factory over in South India, where we provide offshore testing services. We have offices, a full testing lab in Madrid in Spain. We have quite a bit of business and clients in the UAE, so we've got a sales office there, and also in the East Coast and West Coast US. But we're headquartered here in London, in Stratford. And in terms of mobile testing, this has really been something that we've gradually seen increased activity in, and the demand really has come from our customers. Both existing and new customers seem to be really embracing mobility and seeing the benefits that can be leveraged. Some of the current projects that we've currently got on, and these tend to be another aspect of the mobility stuff, is that it tends to be quite cutting edge and very interesting in terms of the scope of work. We have a client who's a major airline who currently is running a proof of concept using mobile handsets, where they have agents on the ground in different airports. They're currently trialling this in 3 airports across Europe at the moment, but the nature of the application is to aid the agents check in and board passengers, to be able to take transactions and payments for additional baggage, etc., and try and remove the requirements for physical terminals based in these different airports. So the business case is pretty strong. But as we'll find out, with a lot of mobile testing projects, it has quite a bit of complexity and quite a few key differentiators compared with web-based applications, in the fact that there's barcodes that need scanning and payments that have to be taken. So as a project, it's quite a large scale and fairly interesting. Another project we have currently, which is very different to this one, is in the public sector and transport, where we're currently testing a mobile services platform. So in terms of our clients sending messages and transport alerts, travel alerts to their customer base, which is in the hundreds of thousands. We're currently testing that platform now, doing the end-to-end testing in UAT, which is covering both Web, WAP and J2Me. We also are taking one of their applications that has now been converted to become an iPhone application, which is pretty cool. We're currently testing against all versions of iPhones, iPads, iPod Touches, etc. With that. And lastly, with this client, there's also a location-based testing project that we've completed, which is a project or an application called Cabwise, which some of you may be aware of, whereby if you are based in Greater London and you want to text a short code phone number to this, and it will send you back to cab numbers within your sort of immediate vicinity. So again, that location-based testing has its complexities, which I'll go into a little bit further on. There's also other location-based testing that we've provided in terms of a company that specialises in these sort of applications. There's one application in particular we've tested recently where it provides a location of various services, which can be anything from cash points to restaurants to retail to public services, etc. It's something that you can access from your handset. It's menu-driven and can provide the sort of geographical details of how you reach these different services. Other areas where we've done a lot of mobile testing has been with companies that specifically focus on this area. So companies that provide applications which allow you to discover, buy, and share music. So a very sort of simple example could be you could be on hold to Testhouse even, and you could be listening to our hold music, which isn't very good, but you could listen to our music and think, I quite like that tune. You could point the application and record that tune on that handset, and it would then tell you what that song is, the track, etc., and allow you to be able to purchase and then share that music. So, something that's fairly quite niche but quite interesting. And yeah, other things, I won't go on too far with this, but just to give you sort of flavour of the different types of things we've been doing. Applications that allow you to sync your handset with both other mobile devices or web applications where you can share media content, so you can take a photograph in your handset directory and upload it to a web-based photo directory or something as simple as that. But that seems to, I guess, where we started with, it's now dealing with mobile content from social networking sites and sharing all those sort of details. So again, quite a growing area. And in banking as well, we have a client who has the software and the technology to allow businesses to pay employees and staff members over the mobile phone and access accounts and transfer money, etc., all from the mobile phone. So again, businesses that are fairly, I guess, new in terms of their offerings and technologies and where they are within the marketplace, but certainly companies where we're seeing a lot of growth and we're seeing the business cases become stronger and stronger. And I suppose that's what's been driving our real interest, approach and commitment towards mobile testing. In terms of the second point there, approach to mobile testing, I suppose what my thoughts were there was there's pretty much two approaches. You can either, as an organisation, you can do this yourself, or you can outsource a specialist. And what we're seeing now is, as this market grows and demand grows, with so many operating systems, browsers within those operating systems, so many different handsets, devices, etc., carriers out there in the marketplace, and just manually testing your mobile applications and services and using just a couple of people internally, it's becoming sometimes a little bit too large for that. So this is the reason why we've set up our services and also partner with the likes of DeviceAnywhere. So in terms of our engagement model, as far as the mobile testing is concerned, as I mentioned, we focus solely on software testing. So from test strategy right the way through to execution, we specialise equally on functional and non-functional testing. So we do a lot of performance, a lot of automation, and again, with all the different operating systems and browsers, etc., out there, the manual testing, it needs to start looking at viable automation strategies for mobile, which is something you'll hopefully get a bit more information on later through both Javier and Mitten. we're able to provide a flexible